Cyclone MMA. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mason from Cyclone MMA, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be looking at the Bantamweight Division. I want to do a new video series where I go through and look at each division. I talk about the fighters, talk about the competitive nature of MMA in each of these divisions. We're going to start off in the Bantamweight Division. It would be smart to go flyweight and work my way up, but I'm going to pick random ones, and I want to start with Bantamweight because I feel like hot take, but like kind of not hot take. I think Bantamweight is the best division in the UFC. I think Lightweight for years has been the best division, and it's kind of fizzled out a little bit. It's still one of the best, top three for sure. But Bantamweight is damn competitive and damn good, and we're going to talk about it right after I take this sip of coffee. All right, we're going to start down low, because there are some really good fighters, and really in this 10 to 14 range, these are dudes who are kind of up and coming. And I guess you can throw Song Yadong in there as well. You can even throw in number 2 Sean O'Malley in that. But there's a lot of guys in the Bantamweight division who are young and hungry, and we're going to start with Jonathan Martinez. Now, one thing about Jonathan Martinez is I do think he lost his last fight. I actually put money on this fight. I was at a casino. I was watching it in this little sports bar area, and I thought Said Nurmagomedov was going to take out Jonathan Martinez. I was wrong. With that being said, I did think Said got the win, but Jonathan Martinez fought his ass off, and I think if it was a 5-round fight, Martinez is coming away with a win. Before that, he has a TKO finish over Cub Swanson. That was the leg kick. A nasty, nasty leg kick. And he's just got a really good start to his UFC career here. He does have a loss to Davey Grant, but he's got a lot of experience, like a sneaky amount. He's got a win over Thomas Almeida. And just a lot of KO victories as well. The guy puts on the pressure. He puts on this pace. It's hard to keep up with. Said Nurmagomedov, the dude with the last name Nurmagomedov, had a really tough time keeping up with Jonathan Martinez. So I'm really excited to see what's next for him. You look at his numbers, nothing jumps off the page, but it's always nice to see that the significant strikes you land per minute is higher than the significant strikes you absorb. But I'm really excited. I thought he did a great job against Said. I did think he lost, but it was close enough where I'm like, fuck, because I know how good Said is. And damn, dude, Jonathan Martinez is just a beast. So we're gonna click on some of the other ones here. Chris Gutierrez, Adrian Yanez, Umar Nurmagomedov. So we'll start with Chris Gutierrez. He had his last victory against Frankie Edgar. And look at that. Only 2.5 significant strikes absorbed per minute. And he throws and lands 4.7 per minute. The knee against Frankie Edgar just completely sleeping him. I know Frankie Edgar is susceptible to getting kneed in the face and knocked out, and that's a tough way to see him go out. But it really shows the explosiveness and power of Gutierrez. And when you see like kind of that little streak he's on here, he's just been damn good. I think Frankie Edgar was his toughest test. He fought Andre Ewell, who has a lot of experience in the octagon. But really, I'm excited to see what's next for him. Maybe you do a Jonathan Martinez versus Chris Gutierrez next. It seems like a good move for the next fight for these guys. They're both at the bottom here. Jonathan Martinez is just barely entering this top 15. I guess you can call it top 14. Because why is there only 14 here? That seems weird to me. Why is there not a 15? I'm just now noticing that. I don't know. That's very strange, though, that there's no 15. Is there a tie somewheres? No. Weird. Weird. I don't get that at all. Okay, moving on to Adrian Yanez, who looks like Jorge Masvidal. I mean, look at this dude. He kind of fights like Masvidal, dude. The dude has an insane output. So we've been talking about like 4 point whatever strikes per minute, right? Check this out. Where is it? There it is. 6.62 strikes landed per minute. Now, he does get tagged, 5.49, but this dude is an action fighter, and he goes for it, dude. You look at his previous fights, knockout, split decision, knockout. And he has a win over Davey Grant, too, and that's the split decision. Davey Grant's a great fighter. Davey Grant is a very, very good fighter. I mean, we just saw that he beat Jonathan Martinez. We know how good Martinez is. But this fight coming up, Rob Font versus Yanez, this is going to be a good fight. And that takes place on the card where Izzy fights Pereira, where Aljo fights Cejudo. So there's some implications there in the Bantamweight division. But, I mean, you look at Rob Font where he's at. Rob Font's ranked number 6. So Yanez has the chance to go from number 12 to number 6 just like that. And I know Rob Font is a technician and a really good striker as well. But I'm excited to see Yanez, this young fighter who doesn't have as much experience as Rob Font, hop into that top 10 and just, I want to see if he can swim in this division because he's really good. And speaking of really good, is Umar Nurmagomedov. There's a rumor going around that the UFC is trying to make Umar Nurmagomedov versus Merab Dvalishvili, and I would really like that. Now, despite the name Nurmagomedov, and he has those wrestling credentials, this dude strikes his ass off, and you saw it in his last performance against Barcelos. He, knocked him out, and it was basically he followed up when he knew he didn't need to, and he felt really bad about it afterwards, but it was kind of one of those things where it's the referee didn't pull you off, so go for it. He has a win over Brian Kelleher. Still not super tested, but in all of these fights, he just looks so good. 2 submissions, 1 knockout, 1 unanimous decision. I mean, finishing someone like Brian Kelleher is always a feather in your cap. And, I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for him. I know I keep saying that, but it's who do you match up Nurmagomedov against if it's not Merab Dvalishvili, right? You can do Cheeto, but Cheeto wants to fight Petr Yan. Dominic Cruz, is he scheduled for a fight? We'll look at that next. I want to say that they're thinking about doing a Dominic Cruz versus Cody Garbrandt fight. Umar versus Ricky Simone would be good, but we should check and see if Ricky Simone has someone who he's scheduled against, because Ricky Simone's really good too, and I know he's had a lot of experience in the octagon at this point, and he's had to fight some really tough dudes. So it's going to be Song Yadong versus Ricky Simone. But you look at Ricky Simone and who he's fought: Ray Borg, Rob Font, Uriah Faber, Sun Sao, Brian Kelleher, Jack Shore. He's had to fight a lot of dudes, and he really has been around. He's been around since 2017. He fought Merab Dvalishvili in 2018 and won via knockout. Ricky Simone is low-key a staple, and it's someone who I feel gets forgotten in this division, and I think it's someone who gets overlooked. Because he does have these losses on his record, but he is really, really, really good and very talented. He's got great wrestling, great pressure, and he's on a bit of a streak here. And so Song Yadong is going to be a great test. Song Yadong is 8, so he has a chance of breaking the top 10. He's at number 10 right now, but in between them, you got Pedro Munoz, who's had a bit of a tough break, but he has all of the talent in the world. Now, you look at this, never a good sign. His significant strikes landed are lower than the significant strikes absorbed. But he's fighting monsters. He's fighting really, really good fighters. Look at these last 6. O'Malley, and, it was kind of the no contest. There was the eye poke. Tough, but still a tough test for the round and a half that it lasted. Before that, it was Dominic Cruz. He almost got Dominic Cruz out of there. He almost finished the dude, but Dominic Cruz came back, won 2 rounds, won the fight. Before that, it was Aldo. Always a tough test, no matter what version of Aldo you're getting. He's always a tough fighter. Jimmy Rivera is damn good, and I think that was the leg kick fight where I think Rivera was landing vicious leg kicks on Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz ended up getting the victory. Before that was Frankie Edgar. Before that it was Aljamain Sterling. Before that was Garbrandt. He's just fought so many monsters, and it's kind of sneaky to see he fought Font back in the day, Dodson. He's just fought a lot of really, really good fighters. He has a lot of really, really good experience, and he's able to get these big wins against Garbrandt, against Rivera. But against the upper echelon of this division, it seems like he's a step behind, just a tick behind, but he has the talent to get it done. So I think that's what makes Munoz versus Gutierrez, interesting because it's kind of the old guard versus this new dog. And it's really, it's kind of a toss-up. I don't know who wins that. I lean Pedro Munoz. I'd be interested to see what the betting odds are. But yeah. All right, now we're getting into the thick of it. Now at the top, we're gonna have a lot more to talk about than these guys. But all around, this division's really interesting. And if you asked me like who's gonna be champion 2 years from now, it could be any of these guys. All of these guys have the talent to do it. It's kind of sucks that it's in fighting, you could fight 10 times and win 5 of them, but you usually only have that one fight against someone, so you don't truly know who the top dog is. But we're going to look at these next few. Song Yadong, he fought Corey Sandhagen in his last fight, and that's tough. Corey Sandhagen is a monster. Now he's fighting Ricky Simón, like we talked about. I think that will be a good matchup for him. Now you have Uriah Faber, who's fought Ricky Simón before, so that's kind of helpful for Song Yadong because Uriah Faber, it's his coach. He's part of Team Alpha Male. Ricky Simón wants to get that. He wants to climb the ladder. Song Yadong is trying to hold his position here. He has a win over Marlon Moraes. And I feel like a Marlon Moraes victory looks kind of cheap at this point, looks easy. But Marlon Moraes is a dangerous fighter. I know he gets cracked. I know he has chin issues. And it's kind of the same thing with Cody Garbrandt. But Marlon Moraes, even in the fights where he loses, he tends to hurt his opponent. A really sneaky good victory here. I mean, 2 of them. Casey Kenny. That guy's a wrestling beast, and so having a win over him is huge. And then also Chito Vera. I know that's a bit of a controversial one. A lot of people think Vera won that one. But to make it, it's a unanimous decision victory. I kind of want to look at the media scorecards for that. Chito Vera versus Song Yadong. Let's see if we can pull that up real quick and just see. Because I remember it being... So it's kind of split. You had one judge give it all 3 rounds to Vera. But other than that, split. So I think if you make it that close, you're on the same level as Chito at the very, very least. Nice ASMR. I feel sick right now, so I'm talking weird, and I'm also sipping coffee. So I hope you guys are enjoying the little ASMR I got going on here. But okay, we got Dominick Cruz, the Dominator, who has not been really dominating lately. Sorry, D. Cruz. But, I mean, he's on a 2-fight, well, the Chito fight. So the Chito fight, he was winning up until he wasn't. He got caught with with a head kick. It's one of those where Dominick Cruz was looking good. His movement kind of played against him, and he ran right into a leg. Got finished in the 4th round. He was close to winning a decision, though, but that's kind of a Chito Vera thing, right? Lose, win. That's why watching the Corey Sandhagen versus Chito Vera fight, sketchy, because it's like at any minute, Chito could catch Corey and the fight could be over. It's just, if history repeats itself, that's what's going to happen. A win over Pedro Munoz, that's huge. Again, a win over Casey Kenny, huge. Now, before that, it was Cejudo and alcohol and cigarettes and Cody Garbrandt. And when you think about the time off between fights from December 30th of 2016 to May 9th, 2020, just jumps right back into a title fight. Tough. Very tough. Then he goes a year, fights in 2021, does it again in August 13th, 2022. So it's been a minute since he's fought. He fought last summer. But I'm excited to see what he does next. It sounds like they're going to do the Cody Garbrandt fight. I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense because it allows Garbrandt to have a fight to get back into the rankings, and it allows Cruz to get that one back. So I think that's good for Garbrandt too because Cruz doesn't have power. He doesn't have crazy knockout power. So, Garbrandt has a chance to actually fight in that one and not get caught and slept. At that point, I think that's a good fight for Cody Garbrandt and Dominick Cruz. I think that one makes sense. I think they should make that one. Because I hate to be a hater on Dominick Cruz. I think he's the man. I know he's searching for another title. But I don't know who you give him at this point. I think Rob Font's a tough fight for him. You can't really fight up after you lost to Chito. You can't fight Jan or Sandhagen. Although Sandhagen versus Dominic Cruz would be a sick fight, just from the striking perspective. I don't know. A lot of these guys already have fights. It feels mean to give him Umar Nurmagomedov, so I just don't know. But Rob Font, here he is. And look at this output. 6.38 significant strikes landed per minute and only 3.95 absorbed. This guy is like you're playing UFC 4 and you're just spamming the keys, spamming the buttons. And it seems like it's a durability issue at this point. Not that he's been getting like knocked out, but against Cheeto, it seems like he was the more, I don't want to say the more effective. It seemed like he was the better striker, yet Cheeto was the more effective striker, if that makes sense. You look at the numbers of that fight, Rob Font outstruck Cheeto by a lot, but Cheeto was able to get the decision victory, and it was like everyone agreed. They're like, yeah, Cheeto won. The eye test means Cheeto wins, but you look at the numbers and it looks like Rob Font wins. It just like doesn't have the amount of power that Cheeto does, and it's kind of scary to be in this division like that. Before that, he lost to Aldo, and then before that, he styled on Cody Garbrandt. So it's that weird thing where it's like, what gives here? Because you lose to Cheeto and Aldo, you beat Garbrandt, you beat Moraes, you beat Ricky Simone, you beat Sergio Pettis. It's like he has some very, very good wins, but as of late, he hasn't been able to get it done. He did lose to Rafael Assunção, but he has some very, very good wins. It seems like he's kind of that guy who's win some, lose some. So Adrian Yanez is interesting because he's going to be a perfect test for Yanez to see if Yanez is legit. Is Yanez on the level of a Jose Aldo and a Cheeto Vera at this point in their careers, or is he more of in the Garbrandt Moraes wheelhouse where he can't quite get those victories in the top 5? We're going to find out, and that's what I love about this sport, is because if you stick around long enough, you're going to be fighting everybody, and Rob Font is certainly doing that, and he puts on a show every time he's out there. So, looking forward to that one. All right, we're getting in the meat and potatoes of this division, okay? Cheeto Vera, Petr Yan, and, Corey Sandhagen. It's getting interesting. Cheeto just lost to Corey. Look at that. That is the tale of Cheeto Vera right there. 4.09 significant strikes landed per minute. 5.02 significant strikes absorbed per minute. He's willing to take some to give some, and he's always looking for the knockout. But against Corey Sandhagen, he seems like he froze up a little bit. And I know it's hard fighting someone like Sandhagen who's always moving, always cutting angles. And I thought Corey fought the perfect fight for Cheeto. Went for takedowns when the pressure was too much. Never let, he never stood in front of Cheeto and said, okay, give me your best shot. He was always moving, always cutting angles, never really letting Cheeto let off any offense. So that's a tough loss for Cheeto. But I feel like if they fought 10 times, there are times where Cheeto catches him and wins. But I think Corey Sandhagen's, I have a lot of stock in Corey Sandhagen. He was able to catch Cruz and beat him. He was able to beat Font just with his power. He had the front kick from hell against Frankie Edgar. He has a win against Davey Grant, and then a loss against Aldo. But the thing I like about Vera is how well he bounces back from losses. So he loses to Aldo, right? Beats Grant, beats Edgar, beats Font, beats Cruz. That's 4 very good wins after a tough loss. And it wasn't a tough loss. He was competitive, but he definitely lost. Beat O'Malley when everyone thought O'Malley was going to beat him. Lost to Song Yadong. Arguably beat him. He just has a lot of experience. He's a durable guy. He hasn't been knocked down in the UFC. So you gotta outstyle him if you want to beat him, because you're not gonna finish him. And I don't know who you give Cheeto next. I think Petr Yan, that's what he said he wanted. I think Petr Yan would be interesting. At this point, Cheeto's coming off a loss now. You look at Yan, man, tough break for Petr Yan. I feel like the luck that Aljamain Sterling has is the exact opposite for Petr Yan. He has some tough breaks, dude. So he loses his title to Aljamain Sterling via disqualification. It was his decision. He threw the knee. It was dumb. He lost his title, though. He's handed Corey Sandhagen in a bounce-back fight. Was it for the interim? I want to say it was for the interim. I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but I could be wrong. He wins that fight. It's a tough fight. Corey Sandhagen's a great fighter. He wins it. He fights Jan again in, much to everyone's surprise, including myself. Sterling wins that, and he wins it. He controls Jan. It's the wrestling that did it for him, and he was able to control Jan and get the W, and Jan did not like that. I want to say it was 48-47. It was close, but Sterling won. And then after that, he fights O'Malley. I thought Petr Yan won. I watched that fight again yesterday. I still think he won. I think O'Malley fought great against him. I thought O'Malley was biting off way more than he could chew. But somehow, some way, O'Malley comes away with the victory, and now you're going to see O'Malley fighting for a title next, I would assume. And then he fights Dvalishvili, and that's another fight where I'm like, okay, Jan will win. I think Merab's going to pressure him. I think he's going to go for takedowns, but I think Jan's takedown D is too good. I think his boxing's too good, and he's going to knock out Dvalishvili as he comes in for a takedown. Merab, dude, holy shit, this guy is good. Holy shit. Merab takes it to him, brings him into deep waters, he went ape shit on this dude. And we'll talk more about Merab later because we're talking about Jan right now. But it's just a tough break for Jan, and it seems like he's too good to be on this much of a slide. 3 losses in a row. And so I feel bad for the next person to fight Jan. If it is Cheeto, I feel bad for Cheeto because I think Jan takes it. I have a lot of stock in Jan. I think he's really freaking good. I don't know who you give him, though. It feels mean. I mean, maybe Umar Nurmagomedov versus Petr Yan. No, they're trying to make that for Merab. But fuck, dude, that would be a good fight. Maybe if Yanez gets a victory, you get him in against Jan. That seems early for Yanez, though, but that's a fast track to the title. You want to win a title? Beat Petr Yan. I almost forgot his name, guys. Brain fart right there. All right, Corey Sandhagen. Probably my favorite bantamweight. I'm going to be biased here. I love Corey Sandhagen. Almost 6 significant strikes landed per minute. The movement of this guy. He's a fun fighter to watch, and I love the philosophy he brings to the game. And now he has a new wrinkle in his game like he did against Vera. He went for takedowns. Looked good. Was able to get some really good offense in those takedowns. It's weird that Cheeto Vera-Sandhagen fight because despite losing the fight, Cheeto Vera looked physically better than Sandhagen in terms of his appearance. Sandhagen was cut pretty bad. He was bleeding. But Sandhagen was able to get takedowns. He was able to land elbows and significant offense from the top. And his striking has always been really good. And maybe that's the fight to make. Do a Petr Yan Sandhagen rematch. I think that fight could go differently now. But Song Yadong versus Sandhagen. Song Yadong proved to be a beast because he was putting it to Sandhagen. I don't think he was winning, but I thought he was doing really good. But there was the really bad cut on his head that stopped the fight. Was it by the eye? I don't really remember. But I remember it was a really, really bad cut. And that was the same night that Rodriguez fought, and he had the cut right here on his eyes, or his nose, right between the 2 eyes. But Sandhagen's had some tough breaks. A loss to Dillashaw, which was freaking close, dude. A very, very close fight. I thought that Sandhagen won. We're going to go to the media scorecards again. Sandhagen, Dillashaw. Because I'm curious what people have to say about this. I remember watching it, and I'm like, it's close, but Sandhagen won, I thought. And that's kind of the vibe here if you look at these scorecards. A lot of them had Sandhagen winning, but the ones where it mattered, Sal D'Amato and Junichiro Kamijo couldn't get Sandhagen the win. But it is interesting to, after a decision, to go on here and just see what are the media members saying. How did they score it? But regardless, we know the talent's there. If you can beat someone like Dillashaw, in a good Dillashaw too, not a zero-shoulder Dillashaw that Aljamain Sterling fought. The knee against Edgar. His previous loss to those wins was to Aljamain Sterling, and I want to see him get that one back because it seems like there's been a mental shift in Corey Sandhagen since then. Like, you look here, he fought John Lineker to a decision, he fought Sun Sao to a decision. After he gets submitted like that, knocks out Marlon Moraes, knocks out Frankie Edgar, and then he goes to a decision and loses to Dillashaw, but that's TJ Dillashaw. Just seems like he fought better competition and then was able to get finishes. Sandhagen's a beast. I love the dude. I could talk about him for a long time, so I got to move on. Sean O'Malley, Merab Dvalishvili, and your champion, Aljamain Sterling. And it's getting interesting at the top here because Sean O'Malley somehow snuck into the number 2 spot. He was number 1 for a bit because I think Petr Yan was number 1. Now he's number 2. And my God, look at these numbers. Look at these numbers. 7.43 significant strikes landed per minute and only 3.54 significant strikes absorbed per minute. This dude is long for the division, and his striking is so good. I was watching some Sean O'Malley fights yesterday. I watched the Almeida fight where he went for a walk-off KO, and then they're like, no, he's still in it. And so he fought more, and then he went to do it again, went to do another walk-off KO, and then they're like, keep fighting. And he, boom, one punch knocked out Almeida, shut his lights out. He does have the loss to Chito Vera that he denies and said never happened. But yeah, if you get kicked in the leg and you can't fight, you lost the fight. Sorry, bud. But since then, knockout of Almeida, knockout of Mutino, who is a beast, by the way, knockout of Paiva. He had the no contest against Pedro Munoz, and then a split decision victory, controversial one, against Petr Yan. His stock is rising, dude. His stock is rising in a way I didn't expect. When they set up Munoz versus O'Malley, I said, he's biting off more than he could chew. Then, he got the no contest. He was looking good in that fight, though. Then he fought Yan. I'm like, okay, they're just trying to kill O'Malley now. What are they doing? But, yeah, a very impressive fighter. The striking is really good, and I think for him to have a chance at the title, especially with the 3 guys in front of him, and I say 3 because you got Cejudo, he's fighting for the title against Aljo, and you got Merab. What do all 3 of them have in common that the other fighters we've talked about don't really have? It's a vicious wrestling game, a very, very, very good wrestling game, and I don't think O'Malley's bad on the ground. He was able to get up against Yan. He was able to minimize damage. But if you're fighting a Merab Dvalishvili who averages 6.55 takedowns in a 15-minute fight, who isn't going to get tired, who's going to bring it for 25 minutes, you better have a good game of getting up from the ground. I know Yan did, and it still wasn't enough. So, I know it's a different fight. O'Malley's longer. There's a chance he keeps him at bay with his striking and his movement. But that's a fight that eventually I want to see. Maybe you make that. I don't think the UFC will because I don't think they want O'Malley to lose. And I think Dvalishvili will be favored to win in that fight. But that would be such a fun style clash. Style clash. I don't know. I just made up a term. But think about the pressure, the wrestling of Merab Dvalishvili versus the movement and the striking of Sean O'Malley. I know we can't do it because you're going to miss the money fight. And really, Merab deserves a title fight, and he's not going to get it unless Cejudo wins or Aljamain Sterling goes up. Sean O'Malley deserves a title shot. I mean, in the UFC thinks he deserves a title shot because they want to make that money. But I think the thing that Sean O'Malley has to work on right now, I think he's got the striking down. He showed that against Yan. He's got to get really, really good takedown D. I think he has pretty good takedown D, but he's got to drill that like a motherfucker. And he's got to get a wrestling game. He's got to get a submission game. Not that he doesn't, but I'm just saying, you got Merab in front of you, you got Aljo in front of you, and you got Cejudo in front of you. So those are the guys you got to be training for because those are your next fights. One of those 3 guys will fight you next. We're going to talk about Merab a little bit because his performance against Petr Yan shocked me. I thought Yan was winning that fight. I thought he was going to, rather. He lost every round. And I couldn't believe how good he was in that fight. Beat Aldo before that. A boring fight, but a clear-cut victory for Dvalishvili. Before that, it was Moraes, which is just That fight was crazy because Moraes hurt Dvalishvili early, and then Merab just came back and beat on Moraes, just beat him up, took him down, and it was just wailing on him. He has a win over Cody Stamen, who's really good. Is it Cody or Corey? It's Cody. It's Cody Stamen. Dodson, he has a win over him. I mean, he's just got some really, really good wins. Casey Kenny. He's just a really, really good fighter. And I think it took until the Jan fight for people to realize just how damn good he is. I think people knew with Moraes, but then you see the string of losses Moraes had, and then maybe they thought it was fake. Aldo, they're like, hey, he's old, he's out the door. But then when he beat up Jan in the way he did it, I think people know he's real now. And, I mean, 6.55 takedowns per 15 minutes. He was able to score 11 takedowns in a 25-minute fight against Jan, but he shot for 49 takedowns. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. If he had more of a submission game, I think that'd be neat. Only one win by submission. But the striking's there, too. The striking's looking a lot better, and I think his cardio and his wrestling helps his striking in a big way. And it's too bad that he will never fight Aljamain Sterling because they're buddies. Aljamain Sterling, I'm going to sound like a hater right now. He's gotten really lucky in his last couple fights. That makes me sound like a dick. I don't hate Aljamain Sterling. I understand he's an incredibly talented fighter. He is the champion. But, dude, come on. You win the belt via disqualification. It's nothing wrong with you. Like, you didn't force him to throw the knee. It's not your fault that you win that way, but it is kind of lucky to get kneed in the face and win a title. It's unlucky, but lucky. After that, no luck here. You're able to beat Petr Yan, who was kicking your ass in the previous fight. You make the adjustments. You're able to control him. You're able to get a victory. Good on you, because that's a very good win. And then you fight TJ Dillashaw with one shoulder. The dude was completely injured, and it's just kind of, it's a lamb to be sacrificed at that point. Like, TJ was never winning that fight. He knew he was never going to win that fight. And that's another, title defense for Aljamain Sterling. Now he's fighting Cejudo. I'm excited for this one, guys. The wrestling is going to be insane. I feel like it could very much play out on the feet just because of that. And I feel like if you're looking at the wrestling, Cejudo has an edge because he's an Olympian. He's a gold medalist. I know Sterling is a very, very good wrestler. He has a great ground game, but it's different, I feel like. If you look at the IQ, it's close. Cejudo is kind of a master of the game mentally. Sterling has a really, really good corner, though. And if you look at the striking, I lean Aljamain Sterling. So I think that's a great matchup. I'm excited for that one. But Sterling, dude, despite the luckiness I say he has in his last couple fights, he's got the resume. He really does. Submitted Corey Sandhagen in 1 minute and 28 seconds. Sorry, I'm dying over here. Beat Pedro Munoz. Beat Jimmy Rivera. Beat Cody Stamen. Lost to Moraes. Got caught. I think it was a knee. Barao, he beat him. He beat not Chad Mendez. He lost on Sun Sao. He's fought the who's who's, and he strung them together. He deserved the title shot. I don't know if he deserved to get illegally kicked in the head by Jan, but I mean, the wins to lead up to that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solid victories. Those are all very, very good victories. To fight Jan, DQ, then actually beat him, and then fight a dude with one shoulder. I'm excited for Cejudo versus Sterling. It just seems like there's a weirdness around the title reign of Aljamain Sterling, because, like, the TJ injury and the DQ, and I don't know, dude. And now he won't fight Merab, who's kind of the best fighter in the division, arguably. I mean, if you look at the way that Merab fought Jan versus the way Sterling fought Jan, and now it's like Sterling and Jan won't fight each other, which I understand and respect, but it sucks because stylistically you want to see who wins that. But yeah, that is the Bantamweight division, guys. We went off for a while talking about that. I hope you enjoyed this video of me just kind of ranting, talking about all these fighters. I love you, Corey Sandhagen. But yeah, what do you guys think about the bantamweight division? Is this the most stacked division in the UFC, or am I overhyping it? I do want to talk about these other divisions because there are some good ones. I mean, flyweight's looking good right now. Featherweight's looking really good. Lightweight's always great. Welterweight's a mess right now, but it's good. It's a good mess because you got Jack Della Maddalena. You got, okay, I can't get into it. I'm going to get into it. But, man, there's just some really, really good divisions. Featherweight, women's featherweight, I don't know how I'm going to talk about that. There's only one fighter here, so that's tough. But I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe below. Ring the bell and do all that other shit. Check out some merch. Got some MMA t-shirts in the description. Check out that link. And, yeah, peace out, guys.